Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. In this video, me and Christina Kelly are going to be going over some skip tracing techniques and what are skip tracing techniques. Guys, welcome back. I have Christina Kelly with Batch, skiptracing.com, batchleads.io, batch service, so many amazing things that they have, and they're now on the Batch 3.0. We're gonna show you some really fast ways to get your skip tracing done way faster than what I used to do in, just a few short years ago. All right, so, skip tracing techniques are, a lot of times I used to go out and find a list. I would just move to a new area. I moved to new areas all the time in the military, and I would start my real estate investing while I was in the military, buying rentals. So I would go and pick a neighborhood, and I would have to go to the tax assessor's office and get the list of all the properties in that neighborhood, and then I'd have to individually put each one of those property owners as well as their address, and then hopefully I can look up the phone numbers and white pages. That took so long. It almost took like 7 minutes per actual skip trace, per actual property. And then if the property was in an LLC, I'd have to go to a site like sunbiz.org for Florida, or coloradosos.gov in Colorado to figure out what the LLC name was, and then who the principal is, or who the manager is, or who the member was. And then I'd have to take that manager and member, put their name and their address, their mailing address, to hopefully get a match or a hit. And I just stopped. I just quit because it took so long. It was easier just to send a letter to these people, get the list. Now I come across batch skip tracing and batch service, and that's why you're here, Christina, because you have a better way, I think.
Oh my goodness. I was exhausted listening to your process about how you would skip trace one whole property. That must have taken forever. So I'm even more excited. I didn't know that's how you guys did it to begin with. So I'm even more excited to show you how easy it is to skip trace. Well, how easy it is to do the entire process that you just talked about, but how easy it is to skip trace, how quick it is, how it will take less than 7 minutes to skip trace 100 properties.
Can we do a scenario? Like one of my last duties, or one of my duty stations in the military, was Melbourne, Florida, when they sent me to college. And I had to buy a house there. So maybe we could start with Melbourne, Florida. And the process that I had to go through to buy rental properties out there was exactly what I told you. So I would love to see how much faster it is with your skip tracing technique. Cause this is amazing. It's almost like we're going from the rotary phone, like you gotta individually dial each one, to call my wife.
Yeah. Okay. So Brent, we're in Melbourne, Florida. Now how do we want to narrow this down?
I like that blotch of yellow right there next to the River Lake Conservation Area, just right there. Yeah, if we can just map that, because I don't want to be too far from the college.
This section of houses right here?
Yeah, right in there. That's
okay. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to use the boundary tool. Real quick, you can use the circle or the square, but they just kind of expand and close, and they're not 100% customizable. So I like to use this triangle because I can make a cool little shape that actually just follows this little area. Make sure we don't get next to any, gators or anything out there. Even though I really like gators, they're so cute.
If you leave water in your bathtub in Florida, a gator will find its way in there eventually.
Really? Well, I definitely want to go. Okay, cool. So we just pulled up 6,200 properties in this area. I would say we want to just refine that maybe to a couple hundred.
I'm only interested in single family homes. Maybe we could filter those out. I don't want the condos or none of that stuff.
So what we're doing now, we have over 300 plus data points that you can search from. So that's a whole nother video, but I'm going to show you right here. I'm just picking the single family residential. So let's apply that filter and see what we get. Okay, so now we're down to 4,000.
Much better. And let's also maybe only talk to the people that are absentee owners, 65 and older. They're probably getting tired of owning these houses, right? Sounds like a tired landlord. I know you have that quick filter down there too for the tired landlords.
So we can do absentee owner in state, out of state. Do you have a preference? We could do.
Like I want them like so far removed from this property that they'll just be begging me to take it off their hands.
Awesome. All right, so let's see 192. This is a great list to skip trace from. I almost forgot we were skip tracing, but then I remembered how hard it was for you to skip trace back in the day. So I am so happy that we've made it.
I never would have been able to find this the old way. So we're already sniper approaching it already and cherry picking and like finding the low hanging fruit.
Awesome. I love that. In the time it took you to skip trace one property when you had to go through that other cycle, we have found 200 properties and we're going to skip trace them. All right, so we're going to add this to the absentee owner list, but we're going to get specific by it's calling it where we're at. So that way we can access this quickly and efficiently and we can skip trace. So before we change the view and go to the list, I just want to show you this. You can skip trace right here. Zoomed in a little too close. All right, so we can just pick one property and we can click on the details, and inside of this screen I can skip trace this property right here with a couple clicks. There you go. We just super sped right past your old process. Except the internet, it's a little slow. So the internet is slowing us down, but voila, there we go. We've got, this was a good property to skip trace. So we've got 5 phone numbers. We have 2 emails. We have the owner's full name, but we can see it as a company, and we have their mailing address.
I got to dial that. If I don't have a Mac and an iPhone, I got to like dial that number manually or copy and paste it.
Or just click right here inside the app.
Oh my goodness. Wow. How about email?
Click and call right here. So, I mean, how much time have we spent on this? What, 5 minutes?
Yeah, maybe. How about email? Like, is that possible to do right within the system?
Not right here. You can send direct mail campaigns. You can also like export comps, to emails right out of here, but you can't just click this email and send from here. You'd have to copy and paste it.
That's amazing. I love this. I love it.
Yeah. So cool. Okay, so that was just one way that you can skip trace. I'm going to show you how easy it is to skip trace 192 properties in just a few minutes. So what I'm doing is I'm pulling up the list that we just pulled by the tag, because I've got 45,000 properties, tons of absentee owners, but I'm specifically looking in this area. So that's why I'm pulling it up by the tag, because I've tagged it by area. I am going to select all of these properties. I'm going to go to the Actions tab and I'm going to hit Skip Trace. And here we can see that there's 192 records that I'm telling the system I want their contact information. It's telling me the estimated cost is going to be 10 cents per match. So it's estimated because Batch Leads is not going to charge you if we've already skip traced or if we don't have the any contact information for that number. So I'm going to go ahead and name this file. Actually, we've already done a few, so I'm just going to make it a little more specific, and then we're going to hit Skip Trace. We got the notification that says success. Like, how long did that take? Did we time that? That was probably like 30 seconds over here. So it does take a few minutes once you send them. But when you hit the Skip Trace tab, this is where you can see the progress of your skip traces. So I just want you to check out the numbers here. This is our hit rate. We're very, very accurate, and we have our entire team is customer obsessed, which means we're trying to get you the most accurate data. And so our hit rates are, relatively high in the 98 to 100%.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. That helps me because if I work 12 hours a day in the military or whatever my other job is, this allows me to do this nights and weekends and not have to call 13,000 people to get 13 people on the phone.
Yes, for sure. All right. So my internet's a little bit slow, but we're still in record time compared to manually trying to find their number. But if we did go back to my lists, we could probably pull up that same list and see that they actually are skip traced. And it's just taking the system a few minutes to update on my end because my internet is a little bit slow today, but I'm just going to randomly select.
So you got ants in your pants. Like you're like, you want it yesterday. I'm like, we got time. Let's just go have coffee. Like I'm still working on just getting one property skip traced.
Yeah, no, I've got 3 kids. I'm a single mom. I don't have time to waste. I'm like, let's get on this.
Yeah.
Even if we're impatient and we don't want to wait for the final report in the skip trace tag, they're actually skip trace.
And here you have it, guys. And what's so awesome is, Christina, you guys at Batch Skip Tracing, you have given us a phenomenal offer. If you go to batchleadsbrent.com, you can get 1,000 records for free. You can start using the system. Now, you will have to pay for the individual skip traces that do come up, and those are like anywhere from 12 to 15 cents each, but you can start using this system right now today for free and start getting skip traces immediately fast. So Christina, I thank you so much for your time and you just showing us some of these techniques. I know that Batch has so many more things to offer, like driving for dollars virtually, Batch dialer to be able to call these in, Batch skip tracing, Batch leads, and text messaging services. Like, you guys have a proprietary way of actually getting the text messages answered very quickly because you personalize them so well. So we can only do so much on this one little video, but head on over to batchleadsbrent.com. Start taking action today. Don't be an information gatherer, be an action taker and stack up those small wins, and that's how it turns into that phenomenal portfolio of real estate.